Hi, my name is Eoin Dalton and I am in the fourth year of an Information Technology Management degree. For my fourth year project, I investigated the semantic web and its technologies and the web ontology language OWL. I then used this research to implement a prototype ontology. In this video, I am going to speak about the semantic web and ontologies. I will show a real example of where these ontologies are being used. I will then use Protege to describe some of the terms you might come across in my report, and will demonstrate how individuals can be created using an ontology editor Protege. The semantic web is an extension of the World Wide Web, and sometimes it is referred to as the web of linked data. The semantic web uses Uniform Resource Identifiers URIs and Internationalized Resource Identifier IRIs to identify resources on the web. By identifying resources in the web, you can make searches more efficient. Ontologies are a way of representing knowledge about a domain. This is done by defining concepts and the properties of concepts. The properties may represent attributes of a concept or may represent a relationship between concepts. Once concepts are defined, individuals can be created and the properties can be attached as needed. Axioms are rules that are put in place to help the machines to reason with the ontology. Internet Movie Database IMDb is an example of a website that uses the semantic web and an ontology structure to represent knowledge about movies and the people associated with movies, as well as offering a rating system for people to rate movies. If you look at the ontology structure IMDb uses, it is based upon movies, roles, and people. The domain in IMDb's website is movies. You can see some of the properties attached to movies like year, title, but also director and cast. Person has properties like birth and name, date of birth, and acted. This is IMDb's website. Notice when I search for ET, the semantic web predicts what I am looking for. This is the efficiency I spoke about. On the ET webpage, you will notice the director, the writer, and the stars. These are all the individuals of person. ET is an individual of movie, and Drew Barrymore is the person that stars in ET. This is the model that IMDb uses, and it is simple and creates good linkage between all classes or concepts. This is the ontology of the Cooley collection that was developed using Protege. Notice OWL thing. All classes extend from OWL thing. Agent, collection, and digital archive are subclasses of OWL thing. Group, organization, and person are subclasses of agent. Picture, VHS tape, document, and book are subclasses of digital archive. And research paper, report, and newspaper article are subclasses of document. My Cooley is an instance of person. The Cooley collection is an instance of the collection. The Guardian and South End Press are both instances of an organization. Here we have three objects that were found in the collection: the architect and the bee, the construction and employees video. This was a newspaper article, stewards about losing their jobs. You will see this in a minute. And the Lucas plan was what Mike Cooley was probably most famous for. So I created an instance of Mike Cooley. Mike Cooley contributed to the Lucas plan, and he both owns it in his collection. So you can see the linkage going on here between Cooley collection and between Mike Cooley and the Lucas plan. The Lucas plan is part of the Cooley collection. The Guardian wrote this newspaper article about stop shop stewards losing their jobs, and The South End Press wrote Architect or published Architect and the Bee, but Mike Cooley also wrote this book. So you can see the linkage that ontologies enables users to get. Now I'm going to explain some of the terms that were used in my report using Protege. Mentioned a lot in my report will be the idea of concepts. Concepts in the Protege are seen as classes. You can see the concept of a book, the concept of a collection, the concept of a person. Object properties are the relationships that exist between classes. You will see author. So a book has an author. The Architect and the Bee's author is Mike Cooley. You have owns. Mike Cooley owns the Cooley collection. A book is part of the Cooley collection. Data properties represent attributes of classes. You can see things like age, birthday, date, date made available, date copyrighted. These are all got to do with books. First name, family name. This is all data properties taken from the friend of a friend ontology. Person, gender. Now you have individuals. The Architect of the Bee is of type book. His publisher is an object property, which is the South End Press. It's part of the Cooley collection. It has a title, which is Architect and the Bee. It can be located on a server. The actual physical object can be related on a server to this address. It has a date created. The Cooley collection is of type collection. Mike Cooley is a type person. He owns the Cooley collection. He owns Stop Shop Stewards Fight to Save Jobs. He owns the Construction Employee Health Trust video. He's a contributor to the Lucas Plan. This is a family name, gender, first name, last name, title, birthday, and title as in Mr. The South End Press is part of the Cooley collection and has the name of South End Press. The Construction Employees Health Trust, it has a title of Construction Employees Health Trust and is part of the Cooley collection. Some of the axioms or rules that we mentioned before is if you see owns, it has a domain. A person can own, and the range is a collection. Now you could have more in there. It could be a person can own books, a person can own a lot of many different things. These are data properties, and you can see age has a rule that is a functional property. This means that it can only have one value, which makes sense because a person can only have one age. Now I'm going to just demonstrate how you can create an individual very easily. So you come back to individual by class. I'm going to create a book individual. The book is called The Delinquent Genius. It was another book that Mike Cooley wrote during his time. So you just add individual here. I'm going to create another individual, which is a publisher. And the publisher of that book would have been Spokesman Books. Yes. Books. Notice the IRI to identify that actual individual. This is the semantics coming through. So the delinquent genius is of a type book. It has an object property, which is publisher, and it has a publisher of books. You have a data property of create date, and that is 2080. That is just one of the very simple ways of creating individuals in Protege. Now, in the case of the library, they would be building an interface so that they could input the data, and they would not be using Protege. But I was just demonstrating how easy it is to create individuals, and by doing this, you can start to see the connection. I can use Ontograph to demonstrate how the connection is seen. So person, this is my coolie, and an organization. Sorry, this spokesman's book is of type organization. You can see how the connection starts to come. This is a type book of a person. My coolie owns that book. Clear this again. Again, you see how easy it is to create the linkage. Once the objects and data properties are created, it's just a matter of assigning them to the correct individuals. It just demonstrates the linkage that you can get using ontologies. And this is part of the reason why I chose to do this for my fourth year project, because in the Cooley collection he is going to have many correspondence from books that he wrote, letters, and there's going to be a lot of linkage. So by creating that linkage through an ontology, it allows people to click and to gain more knowledge. If they search for the Lucas plan, they can click and they see everything got to do with the Lucas plan. If they have a book called if the book called The Delinquent Genius is in that collection, they can see the authors of or the publishers of that book. They can maybe see corresponding letters of that book. And that was part of the reason that I found ontologies so beneficial when doing this type of collection. I also just want to note that you can still use mets as for encoding metadata, and the ontologies could just map to where them documents are stored on a server using IRIs. So you may not have to define